queens of the waves, queens of the waves. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to draw Trudy Ederle from Young Women and the Sea. Gertrude. Guys, let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that it's blue hour right now. Like I love blue hour so much. Definitely one of my favorite like sky colors, tones. I watched Young Women and the Sea like about a month ago in June, and oh my gosh guys, I absolutely loved it. And by the way guys, my outfit today, this is actually one of my dad's t-shirts. I just thought that it fits with the sea theme of like swimming in the ocean. So let me introduce Young Women and the Sea to you all, since I don't think a lot of people have seen it. It's about the queen of the waves, Gertrude, or Trudy Ederle, who was the first woman to swim across the English Channel back in August 6, 1926. So it's basically a biopic about this like extraordinary woman. It presents her journey all the way from when she was a little girl to her historic swim from France to England. It was a historical feat, it was a historical achievement. However, unfortunately, Trudy Ederle, she is a woman that is lost to history. Before watching this movie, I actually like did not know her story at all. Like I have not heard of Trudy at all. So I really feel like representing Trudy on this whole big silver screen, representing her in a film, in a biopic, is just really like wise choice. I really think that's a good decision to like, you know, spread her story once again, to like let it be like known across the world again. So because it really is a really significant accomplishment that really, you know, affected women's sports forever, especially like in the West. So I'm really glad that I know the story now. I just really look up to her and her family, and which we're going to talk about later. So yeah, so I'm going to show you which picture I chose as a reference to draw Trudy, and here it is. I chose this one because this was like the moment that probably like impacted me the most. This is like one of my favorite like shots, and it's not only because, you know, it portrays her celebrating and her feeling like the relief after she finished to swim, but also it portrays the love between her and her sister, and I thought that was just so heartwarming. Alright, so now as I start to draw my character art, I'm just going to first talk about my experience of watching Young Women and the Sea, because that was just such a beautiful experience. So this film is actually pretty like popular in China right now. Like I heard that like in a lot of countries it hasn't been like released in theaters yet, or it's like not going to release in theaters. I don't know. I've seen like on Chinese social media there's been so much love for the film. And also when I went to the cinema to watch it, there was a group of kids who also went to see it. There was like a pretty big group of kids. I think they're probably from like a swimming club, or like they're a swimming team, or like they're in the same swimming class. You know, at first I saw like a bunch of kids, like I was just like, oh please just try to not like scream or anything, but they were like silent the whole time, and that was quite touching for some reason. I love how like, of course this film inspires everyone, like a story like this, but like specifically it not only like inspires like women, it also inspires like athletes, like these swimmers who genuinely loves the sport, you know. So I'm really glad that, you know, if those kids are swimmers, I just feel really happy for them. Let's talk about the characters and the relationship between the characters that I really enjoyed. Okay, I think it's best if I give a spoiler warning, because even though like these kinds of films, like, you know, the like final outcome, there's just like moments in the film that I think it's best if you experience it for the first time, like not knowing what you're gonna see. So if you haven't seen the film, it's best if you see the film and return to this video, okay? First of all, let's talk about Trudy, our protagonist, our queen of the wave. She's such an inspirational athlete. I love a lot of things about her, and one of them is definitely how she's so determined, because like throughout her journey, you know, she faced like so much voices that were like against her, and so much people that just like wanted her to fail. Like her coach, her first like that Scottish dude, very annoying by the way, sabotaged her and like basically like poisoned her for her, like during her first attempt. Like there's just so much people going against her. It's so amazing to see how she pushed through and how she did not give a about what those voices said, about what those people thought. She was unwavering despite all the waves that crashed onto her. But I think what I loved most about Trudy was her sheer like passion for swimming, for what she loves. I love how she loves swimming, basically. I read like a bunch of articles on Trudy, and a lot of them mentioned how she didn't consider herself as like a pioneer or like a feminist icon. She didn't like do it just for like the feminist movement, but at the end of the day, she essentially like decided to swim across the English Channel because she just loved swimming so much, and she would love challenges. She just truly wanted to have fun, you know? And we got fun. Throughout the film, you can really like feel her joy when she's swimming. She smiles quite a bit, and her laughter, it can like bring out the sun. Her smile is contagious, like especially Daisy. And Trudy's relationship with swimming, I think it's a really wonderful one. How her love for the sport took her so many, like 21 miles across the English Channel. It's just great. Oh, and another thing about like a Trudy and the ocean. I saw this interview with the director Yoshim Roning. I loved how the director, you know, said in that interview how the ocean was basically a character of the story, like symbolizing Trudy's challenges. I really like agreed with that. I feel like this like vast body of water with all the tides, with all the currents, with all the danger lurking beneath, like it's actually like really representative of the society, of the world that Trudy was living in. It required such a long journey for her to like prove herself, to like prove to the world that women are like capable of accomplishing this. It took women in general, not just her. There were like, you know, other swimmers who attempted to swim across the channel around her time as well. It took her 20 miles of swimming to prove that point that everyone should have understood from day one, you know. I also just loved the relationship between Trudy and her coach, Charlotte Epstein, I think that's how her name's pronounced. But yeah, aside from her father who like took her swimming for the first time, her first coach was also like the founder of the Women's Swimming Association, which I read is one of the like the first athletic organizations for women that was like founded by women. Trudy and Charlotte, they were so like badass together. And lastly, just family, like Trudy's family. Oh my god. Okay, so let's talk about the sisterly love first. So Daisy Ridley, she mentioned in countless interviews, believe me, I saw countless interviews with her, one of the parts that she thought was like the most important was the bond between the sisters, was the love between the sisters. And she also saw the film as being like a love letter for like sisterly like relationships. Her Trudy's sister Meg, she actually was also a swimmer. She was like forced to have like arranged marriage. Daisy also mentioned in an interview that in like many ways Meg's like challenges were like as difficult as Trudy's. Like even though, you know, Trudy's challenge of swimming was like physically demanding, Meg had such pressures and obligations that she had to go through. But despite that, I really appreciated how like Meg was still like so supportive of Trudy. I love movies about sisterhood, guys. I love movies about sister, you know, Frozen, the classic, and also like Little Women. Oh, and also that part was so freaking touching. I think it was after she swam past all those like jellyfish and she was stung and she was like resting, all that stuff, and like Meg jumped into the water to like swim alongside Trudy because Trudy hated to lose or something. Just like two sisters, you know, swimming alongside each other, like just like trying to see through this challenge together, like queens of the waves, queens of the waves. Ah, seeing their embrace. Okay, now let's talk about the relationship between Trudy and her mother. Her mother is so cool. Her accent, her voice. It would be really hard for Trudy to make it like without her mother's support. Like, you know, when her mother like immediately got a job to like fund for her daughter to attend like swimming lessons. The film initially portrayed how her mother was so resolved. So we see that side of her at the beginning of the film, which is like totally cool, totally badass. But like towards the middle of the film, during that scene in their like house, in their living room, we truly see her mother like crumbled down. She remained like such a solid pillar that her daughter Trudy could rely on like throughout the first half of the film, and it was sort of bittersweet to see her mother like be like vulnerable and be transparent with her daughter, say that she truly worried about her, and like being reassured by Trudy. That was just such a profound moment, guys. That just made like her support for her daughter like even stronger, I feel like, because despite all her worries that are like absolutely valid, she still supported her daughter all the way. Mother, that was mother. And the last relationship we're going to talk about is between the father and Trudy. Like obviously I don't agree with the beliefs that he had in the beginning of the film. Like of course I don't agree with that, but it's also like understandable because, you know, it's a century ago and that's what, you know, most people, not just men in the society, believed in. But the father is actually one of the characters that went through the most significant character arc in the film. He did not believe his daughter could do all those things, but as the story went on, her father became more and more supportive of Trudy actually. Now let's talk about my personal favorite moments of Young Women and the Sea. First of all, nuts. I'm just gonna say that. If you know, you know. Nuts! I love the musical like motif of the song Ain't We Got Fun. Like every morning, every evening, ain't we got fun? Not much money, oh but honey, ain't we got fun? The second time it popped up, I actually felt like crying. It's really hard to make me cry when watching movies.
So I don't know what that says about that song and that film, but it's pretty great.
I watched a video about like light motifs or something once. There's something in the human brain that really like are drawn to like repetition and like motifs repeating. And maybe that's why it left such a huge impact on me and left me about to cry, but I didn't cry, but like I was about to. I actually really loved the jellyfish scene. I knew she was gonna make it, but it was so stressful, and it was like, you know how they were stinging her and she was like shouting, and there was so much tension and so much stress, but also like it was kind of thrilling in a way. Not in a way like I'd like to see Trudy suffer, no, but like it was just see her like push through, nerve-wracking sort of thrilling, and like cinematically exciting, that kind of thrilling, you know. The whole sequence of Daisy swim, I'm so sorry, Trudy swimming just keeps you on the edge of your seat. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reminiscing right now. And lastly, my absolute top one favorite moment of the film was the lighting of the fireplaces scene on the shore of England. When Trudy got lost at night, when she couldn't like find her way, and when she was all panicking, I felt so bad for her. Like my heart was like, just when she was at her like probably lowest, people on the other side started to like, you know, light up these fireplaces to like show her the way, and you can just see the horizon of light replacing the darkness. And that was just probably one of my favorite scenes in any movie, like one of my favorite scenes of all time. Now that I think about it, it's just so powerful. It's just so like, it's such a monumental, and it encapsulates like all of the emotions, you know. It's like thrilling, it's hopeful, it's like, it's epic, it's so epic. Oh my god, I don't know if this is a stretch or I'm just like so full of emotion right now that I'm like making this point, but like I feel like this is like the same level, or there's the same extent of like epicness and heroicness of like the lighting of the beacon scene in Return of the King of like Lord of the Rings. Well, I mean, maybe not as grand. It was on a larger scale. Obviously, it was a longer distance, it was the mountains and stuff. But this one, it does not lack in like building up emotion at all. Get like the details of the face right. And like this is why social media can be misleading. I record like up here, right? And I also record here, so they do not align most of the time, because like sometimes I just pause to draw, sometimes I talk for a long time. I'm just gonna be honest with you all. Okay, so finally we're going to talk about my general thoughts about this film. Concluding remarks. One thing I realized, I love movies about swimming, especially because last year I saw Naiad and that was pretty amazing too. I love the experience of watching that. So we're gonna get into Naiad a little because I also really enjoyed that. They use like really different approaches of storytelling. For Naiad, it's more of like a documentary feeling. I just feel like Naiad has like more sort of this like raw feeling stylistically. The Young Woman to See is like more of this kind of like traditional cinematic feeling. It's like a tale. It's like someone's telling a story, and this is like the moving images that would play in the background. And Naiad is more like this like log or like this journal of this woman, and it makes sense because like the story of the Young Woman and the Sea happened like basically a century ago, whereas the events of Naiad happened fairly recently. So the filmmakers, as they said in interviews, they had to do a lot more imagining for Young Woman and the Sea because they had less like historical like material to work with. And another random point of conclusion I want to make is that Young Woman and Sea successfully made me swim again. Usually I would have a really hard time getting into the water initially because I really can't deal with cold temperatures, but this time I basically like jumped in because I thought Trudy wouldn't have a problem with it. Daisy probably wouldn't have a problem with it when she was filming because that, you know, Black Sea, much colder. So yeah, I basically jumped in and I felt actually really refreshed and really good. This is like the impact of cinema. They actually motivate you to do things. Okay, so the producer of this film is Jerry Bruckheimer. I think I'm saying that right. Who also like produced, I think, Pirates of the Caribbean, Top Gun Maverick. And I love all those movies because I feel like these movies, there's just something that feels really genuine about them. They're like big movies, you know, by big companies like Disney and the Pirates series, or like a sequel to a really celebrated film, the Top Gun Maverick. A lot of times these like things that are supposed to be big hits, they are like, sometimes you don't feel that they come from the heart. Like you feel that they're strategic, like you feel that they're, you know, trying to like, you know, get the money from the box office and like people going to see it. But these films, even though yeah, they're of course there can't be other purposes for this film, but it feels like that they've been made not for the sake of like we're just making a sequel because we want a sequel, or like we're just making this biopic because biopic sells well. It feels like they're making them because they genuinely wanted to tell a good story. It really did feel like the filmmakers had a story to tell, and that they truly genuinely, among other things, wanted to tell these stories. Even though they can be a little cliche at times, of course, or like a little cheesy at times, but you're like, what's wrong with that? It just takes you on such a satisfying journey. Okay guys, here is the finished Queen of the Waves, Trudy Ederle from Young Women and the Sea. So for the background, I just drew the sea here, and I drew the fireplaces on the shore. It's sort of like continuous. Her challenges, like the sea is now like behind her, and like we see people welcoming her. Yeah, this can go on my character art wall now. But you guys are probably like tired of me talking and rambling on now, and I'm like, I don't want to ramble anymore. My throat is like kind of dying. So I'm gonna wrap up this video. If you're still watching, thank you so much. Like, I don't know, if you find my talking interesting, thank you so much. Please go see this film if you haven't already. I wish my convincing worked. And I'll see you next time, which is really hopefully soon. Bye!